Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
It was supposed to be a quiet morning. The sun had barely risen, casting a pale light through the curtains of the small corner booth where I sat, sipping coffee at the diner I used to frequent as a kid. The scent of fresh-baked muffins and scrambled eggs filled the air, but my appetite was non-existent. I was here for one reason, and I had a feeling this conversation was going to get ugly. I glanced at my watch, feeling the familiar tension build in my chest. Mom was late. Not surprising, she was never one for punctuality. She always said life had its own pace, but today I wished she'd show a little urgency. My phone buzzed with messages and notifications, reminders of the work I'd left behind at the office. I ignored them. I needed to focus. Finally, I saw her silhouette through the glass door, her familiar stride catching the attention of the waitress as she walked in. Mom wore her favorite red coat, the one she always said made her feel confident. But today it felt more like a warning, a signal that she was prepared for a battle. She slid into the seat across from me, her eyes scanning my face before she even said a word. "Morning, Ryder," she said, her voice unusually calm. "I hope I didn't keep you waiting too long." "Not at all," I lied, forcing a smile. "I'm glad you could make it." She ordered a coffee, black, and then turned to me with that look, the one she used when she was about to ask for something big. "Ryder, I'm just going to come right out and say it," she began, leaning forward slightly. "Enzo needs your help. He's your brother, and he's struggling. I want you to make him a partner in your business." It was a request. It was an ultimatum wrapped in a plea. My stomach clenched, but I kept my face neutral. "Mom, we've been over this. I've tried to help Enzo. I've offered him jobs, I've given him money. He doesn't want to be involved in the business, and even if he did, he's not ready for that kind of responsibility." She frowned, her fingers tapping rhythmically on the edge of the table. "No, Ryder, you're not listening. He needs this. He needs stability, and you can give it to him. You owe him that much." "I owe him?" I repeated, my voice sharper than I intended. "Mom, I've done everything I can. This isn't about family anymore. It's about protecting what I've worked for. You know what it took for me to build this business. And who do you think was there for you when you were building it?" She snapped, cutting me off. I was the one who supported you when you had nothing, who believed in you when everyone else thought you'd fail. Now it's your turn to do the same for Enzo." I felt the words lodge in my throat, choking me. "This is different, and you know it. Enzo doesn't want to work. He wants a paycheck without putting in the effort, and I can't. I won't give him that. It's not fair to me, and it's not fair to the people who've invested in my company." For a moment, she was silent, her eyes narrowing as if she was measuring how far she could push. Then she took a deep breath, and I could see the shift in her posture, the set of her jaw. "If you don't do this, Ryder," she said, her voice low and steady, "then you can consider yourself disowned. I won't have a son who turns his back on his own blood." The words hit me like a punch, knocking the air out of my lungs. Disowned? I'd never thought she'd go that far, but the steel in her eyes told me she meant every word. "You can't be serious," I said, barely able to keep my voice steady. "Oh, I am," she said, a slight edge creeping into her tone. "I've never been more serious in my life. Either you help Enzo or you're on your own. And that includes cutting off all support from me. No more family dinners, nothing. Think about that, Ryder. Is this really worth losing your family over?" My mind was spinning, 1,000 thoughts racing through my head. Part of me wanted to give in, to do what she asked just to keep the peace. But a stronger, louder part of me knew I couldn't. "Not this time. I'm sorry, Mom," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "But I won't do it." She didn't say anything for a moment, just stared at me as if she was seeing a stranger. Then she stood up, slowly, and tossed a few bills on the table. "Fine," she said, turning to leave. "But don't say I didn't warn you. You'll regret this, Ryder. You'll see." As she walked away, I felt an icy emptiness settle over me, like I just lost something I'd never get back. I also knew I had made my choice, and now I had to live with it. I sat in my office, staring blankly at the screen, but the words on the emails blurred into a senseless mess. My mind kept drifting back to the diner, to Mom's ultimatum, and the chilling finality in her eyes as she walked away. It felt like a bruise that kept throbbing, reminding me of the bitter conversation I couldn't escape. The phone rang, snapping me back to the present. It was Enzo. I hesitated, my finger hovering over the answer button. I wasn't in the mood for another argument, but I needed to make myself clear, once and for all. I picked up. "Hey, Ryder." Enzo's voice crackled through the line, casual, almost cheerful. "I heard you had a little chat with Mom this morning. So, when do I start?" I clenched my jaw. He sounded so sure, so entitled. Enzo, we need to talk, I said, trying to keep my tone steady. Mom might have given you the impression that something was happening, but I'm afraid you're mistaken. I'm not bringing you into the business as a partner. Silence. For a moment, I thought the call had dropped. Then, Enzo's laugh echoed through the line, a bitter, mocking sound. Oh, come on, Ryder. You can't be serious. Mom's already told me I'm in. She said you wouldn't dare say no to her. Well, she was wrong, I said, each word deliberate like a hammer driving in a nail. I'm saying no. This business isn't a handout, and I'm done giving you money without any effort on your part. If you want to work here, fine. But you'll start at the bottom, like everyone else, and you'll earn your way up. You think you're better than me, don't you? Enzo snapped, his voice suddenly sharp. Just because you got lucky with some old guy mentoring you, you think you can act like you're above your own family. I've seen how you throw money around, fancy car, big house, and you can't even spare a little to help your brother. My stomach twisted, but I forced myself to stay calm. This isn't about money, Enzo. It's about principles. I won't have someone who doesn't care about the work dragging down what I've built. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Enzo was quiet for a moment, and I could almost hear him grinding his teeth. Mom's not going to like this, he said, his tone a low, threatening whisper. You know, she's going to force your hand, Ryder. She thinks you'll cave in. You always do. The trigger I had been trying to suppress all morning was suddenly pulled. My pulse pounded in my ears, but this time, it wasn't fear or guilt. It was anger. Let me be clear, Enzo, I said, my voice cold, resolute. If Mom chooses to stop paying her mortgage, that's her choice. But I won't be the one bailing her out. I'm done being the safety net for both of you. I've made my decision, and there's no going back. He laughed again, but there was no humor in it this time. We'll see, Ryder. You think you've got it all figured out, but you don't know what's coming. When she cuts you off, don't come crawling back to us. The call ended abruptly, leaving me with a hollow, buzzing silence. I put down the phone, my hand shaking slightly. For the first time in years, I felt like I had lost more than just a conversation. I had lost something deeper, maybe even my family. But as I leaned back in my chair, letting the anger wash over me, I also felt something else. A sense of freedom, raw and terrifying, but real. I had drawn a line. Now, all that was left was to see who dared to cross it. I was finishing up a late meeting when my phone buzzed on the desk. A message from Mom. My stomach tightened. I hadn't heard from her in days, not since I made it clear to Enzo that things wouldn't change. I almost ignored it, but something compelled me to open it. The words were short, cold. I'm Vows. We need to talk? Now. As I drove home, a chill ran down my spine. I expected more arguments, more guilt, but nothing could prepare me for what I found when I walked through the front door. Mom was standing in the living room, but she wasn't alone. Enzo was there, lounging on my couch like he owned the place, a smug grin on his face. And sitting beside him, staring at the floor, was Otto, my mentor, the man who had helped me build everything. I froze, my mind scrambling to make sense of the scene. What's going on? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Mom turned to me, her eyes hard, unrecognizable. We had a little chat, Ryder. I thought it was time Enzo heard the truth about how you got your start. My heart pounded. What are you talking about? I glanced at Otto, hoping for some clarity, but he just looked tired, like he'd aged years in a matter of days. Enzo stood up, his smile widening. Oh, come on, don't act innocent. Otto told me everything. How you weren't exactly a self-made man. How he gave you money to start the business, connections, everything. And now you want to act like you did it all on your own. I felt a wave of heat rush through me. That's not true, and you know it. Otto helped me, yes, but I built this business with my own hands, my own sweat. He gave me a chance, and I took it. Oh, stop it. Mom snapped, cutting me off. You've been pretending you're so much better than us, but you're not. You think I don't know how hard Otto worked to cover for your mistakes, to make sure you didn't fail. And now you want to deny your brother the same help. The trigger was pulled. I turned to Otto, feeling betrayed. Is this true? Did you? I did what I thought was right. Ryder, Otto said softly, finally meeting my eyes. You were young, ambitious, but you needed guidance. I didn't do it to undermine you. I did it because I believed in you. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. Enzo stepped closer, his voice dripping with satisfaction. See, Ryder, you're no better than the rest of us. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to make me a partner, or I'll make sure everyone knows you're nothing without Otto. I clenched my fists, every muscle in my body tense. Get out, I said, barely recognizing my own voice. Both of you, get out of my house. Mom's face twisted with fury. If you do this, Ryder, You're no longer my son. I mean it. You'll be on your own." For a moment, the room was silent, the air thick with tension. Then, Otto stood slowly, looking at me with a mix of regret and something else I couldn't quite place. "I'm sorry, Ryder," he said quietly before walking out the door. Enzo and Mom followed, leaving me standing alone, the echo of their footsteps fading away. As the door clicked shut, I realized that everything had changed, and there was no turning back. The phone rang early the next morning, jolting me awake. I groggily glanced at the screen, an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me pick up. "Ryder, it's Otto." His voice was urgent, strained. "Meet me at the train station, now." I sat up, instantly alert. "Otto? What's going on?" "After what happened last night?" "No time to explain. Just get here," he interrupted, then hung up. I threw on some clothes and sped through the morning traffic, my mind racing. What was Otto playing at? Had he been working with Enzo and my mom all along, or was there something else going on? I spotted him near the station entrance, pacing. He looked up as I approached, his eyes dark with a mix of fear and frustration. "Ryder, I need you to listen," he said, grabbing my arm. "There are things you don't know. Things I never told you because I thought I was protecting you. But I made a mistake." I felt a chill creep up my spine. "What are you talking about?" I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady. "You told Enzo everything, didn't you? You let him believe I owe my success to you." "I had to," he said, his eyes darting around as if searching for someone. "Enzo isn't just trying to get into your business, Ryder. He's been involved in something bigger, something dangerous." "What do you mean, dangerous?" "Stop talking in riddles, Otto." I was losing patience, my heart pounding. Otto glanced over his shoulder and then pulled me closer, lowering his voice. "I got a call yesterday. Someone claiming they had dirt on Enzo, illegal deals, money laundering. They said if I didn't help him get into your business, they'd expose everything, and it would ruin us all. I thought I could control it, but I was wrong." My mind was spinning. "You're saying Enzo's blackmailing you? Why didn't you come to me sooner?" "Because I was afraid," Otto snapped, his voice trembling. "I've spent my whole life building a reputation, and now it's crumbling. I never thought Enzo would go this far. But he's desperate, Ryder. He needs money, and he's willing to destroy you to get it." A train roared past, shaking the platform beneath us. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, teetering, unsure whether to step forward or back. "So what now?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "What do we do?" "We find out who's behind this," Otto said, his expression hardening. "I've got a contact at the police station who can help us, but I need you to trust me, Ryder. If we're going to stop Enzo, we have to move fast." I took a step back, the enormity of the situation sinking in. "This is insane, Otto. You're telling me that my own brother is trying to sabotage me, and now you're dragging the police into this?" "I know it sounds insane," he said, his eyes meeting mine, pleading. "But it's the truth. We have one chance to set things right. Are you with me?" I hesitated, my mind a storm of doubt and fear. But in that moment, I realized I didn't have a choice. If I walked away, Enzo would win, and everything I'd built would come crashing down. "All right," I said finally, a strange calm settling over me. "I'm with you. If you're lying, Otto, if this is another game." "It's not," he interrupted, shaking his head. "I promise you, Ryder, this is the only way." And as we left the station, I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever happened next, it was going to change everything. I walked into the dimly lit warehouse, my footsteps echoing against the cold concrete floor. Otto had set up this meeting, insisting it was the only way to corner Enzo and get the truth. I could see him now, standing near the center, his silhouette barely visible against the faint light filtering through the cracked windows. Enzo was already there, pacing, his hands jammed into his pockets. The air felt thick, almost suffocating. I could barely breathe, my mind braced for whatever was about to unfold. Otto had assured me we would handle this calmly, but I could see the tension radiating off Enzo from across the room. "Enzo," I called out, my voice steadier than I felt. "It's time we had a real conversation." He spun around, his eyes narrowing. "A real conversation," he scoffed, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "You mean like the one where you and Otto cut me out of everything?" I clenched my jaw, taking a step forward. "You know that's not true. You had your chances, Enzo. I'm here because I want to understand why you're doing this, why you're trying to ruin me." Enzo's laugh was sharp, almost maniacal. "Ruin you? You think this is about you?" He took a step closer, his face twisted in a sneer. "This is about survival, Ryder. You always had everything handed to you. Money, success, respect. I've been scraping by, and I'm done with it." You're the one who turned down every opportunity I offered, I shot back. Don't blame me for your decisions. You don't get it, do you? He snapped, his voice rising. You were always Mom's favorite, always the golden boy. I was just the backup, the one nobody cared about. So I decided to take what I deserved. I felt a flicker of pity, but it was quickly replaced by anger. And you thought blackmailing Otto, threatening my business, that was the answer? Before Enzo could respond, Otto stepped forward, his expression grim. This isn't just about family rivalry, Ryder. There's more at stake here. What are you talking about? I asked, turning to him. The moment the words left my mouth, a cold realization hit me. I've been so focused on Enzo, I hadn't noticed the unease in Otto's eyes, the way he kept glancing at the entrance. Otto, what's going on? Otto hesitated, then let out a slow breath. I'm sorry, Ryder. I didn't want it to come to this. The door behind me creaked open, and two men stepped inside. They were unfamiliar, but the look in their eyes sent a chill down my spine. Enzo smirked, stepping back as they moved forward. What is this? I demanded, panic creeping into my voice. Otto, who are these people? They're the ones Enzo owes, Otto said quietly. I was trying to buy time, to find a way to keep you out of it, but they want their money, and Enzo promised them a piece of your business. I stared at him, unable to process what I was hearing. You were working with them? No, Otto said, his voice cracking. I was trying to protect you, but I'm in too deep. They made it clear, either you bring Enzo in, or they come after everything. The men stepped closer, their expressions unreadable. Enough talking, one of them said, his voice low and menacing. We're here for a deal. Either you hand over a cut of your business, or things get messy. I could barely think, the weight of betrayal crushing me. Otto, my mentor, the one person I thought I could trust, he had led me into a trap. But there was still a way out, a chance to turn the tables. I slowly raised my hands, showing I wasn't a threat. You're right, I said, forcing my voice to remain calm. It doesn't have to get messy. I'll give you what you want. Enzo's eyes lit up with triumph, but it was short-lived. In one swift motion, I grabbed my phone and pressed a button. The warehouse door burst open, and a group of police officers stormed in, guns drawn. Everyone freeze, one of them shouted, moving to surround the room. I turned to Enzo, seeing the shock and rage on his face. You're not the only one who can play games, I said quietly. You thought you could take everything from me, but this is where it ends. As the officers cuffed Enzo and led him away, he glared at me, his eyes burning with betrayal. This isn't over, Ryder, he hissed. You'll regret this. I watched him disappear into the night, my heart heavy but relieved. It wasn't the ending I wanted, but it was the one I needed. As for Otto, I didn't say a word. I just looked at him, and in that silence, he knew he had lost me too. After all these events, my mother turned her back on me, saying that I was no longer her son. After that, I had to stop paying my part of the mortgage on her house. As a result, she regretted her words, but it was too late. She exchanged her fancy house for an inexpensive apartment on the outskirts of the city.